Hello, friends. It's Greg here on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel. I have an eBay store also called Blue Feather Ephemera where I sell vintage magazine print ads. In my videos, I show you what sold, and this past week we had 13 sales for a total of $196 and a penny. And if you'll stay tuned a little bit later, we're going to dive into the joys of returns. So stay tuned for that. If you tuned in last week, you know that our bonus topic was about photography and reasons why you may not want to show the full advertisement in your first picture in your eBay listing. Here's another example of that. So the first ad I'm showing you this week is for Detect's Watchman's Clocks from New York. It appeared in Fortune magazine, 1941. And in the full page image that you see here, it's a tall partial page ad. And so when eBay would have automatically cropped this in your listing picture, you would have only seen the middle third, and all that's there is writing. And so I took an extra picture of the bottom third of the page, which shows an enlarged image of one of their products, and it also has the company name there. I did also include a detailed image of the top third of this ad in the listing, and it shows the specter of disaster there, and it advises the customer that not only do they have to worry about fire or theft, but also in that World War II era, they had to also consider the possibility of sabotage at their factories. And so it's interesting for that reason too. $12.77 sent this cool ad to a buyer in New Jersey. Next, we have a full page, full color ad from Penthouse Magazine, 1987, for Panasonic car stereos. The bottom of the advertisement shows an image of their product there with the digital tuner and the cassette tape deck and the preset station selectors and all of that. And here's the top of the image, or the top of the page. And on this channel, we talk a lot about how advertising makes you feel, whether it's nostalgia or some kind of sentiment or, things like that. This ad made me laugh. It says, if you don't own the car of your dreams, at least get the Panasonic stereo that would be in it. And that had me belly laughing. I thought that was really funny. $12.77 sent this ad to a buyer in Texas. This colorful advertisement is a full page ad from Boating Magazine, 1972, for a company called Starcraft out of Goshen, Indiana. The picture in the advertisement shows the 21-foot Islander model, boaters out on the water enjoying the boat. It talks about star craftsmanship, which is quality production, quality engineering, quality materials, and that's what makes the boat easily trailerable, easily towable, easy to maintain. $16.77 sent this nice ad to a buyer in Maryland. Next, we have two advertisements for Wrigley's standard brands of chewing gum. This one appeared in the Quartermaster Review, 1944, and it says, congratulations to the personnel of the Fighting Quartermaster Corps. Our nation appreciates the great job you're doing. So it's short, sweet, to the point, kind of stately in its presentation. $18.77 sent this ad to Missouri. The second ad for Wrigley's Chewing Gum also came from the Quartermaster Review. It also is a full page ad, also black and white, but it's got a lot more going on. This 1943 ad shows an illustration that's in the style of New Deal art, and we talked about that about a month ago. It's art that was popular during the New Deal. It was associated with progressive politics and trade unions and things like that. The text of the article goes on to say that a stick of gum can soothe nerves and calm anxiety, and Also, make your mouth feel moist when drinking water's hard to get. $18.77 sent this ad to a buyer in Georgia. Next up is a fun ad from 1973. It's for the Aerobatic Club of America. It appeared in National Aeronautics magazine. At the top of the ad is a fun little illustration of a cartoon airplane doing some barrel rolls, and it says, "What kind of person can make an airplane do this?" The bottom half of the page shows Club President Charlie Hilliard of Fort Wayne, Texas, and in the text there, it says that foreign governments pay for all of the expenses of some of those foreign clubs, but not in the U.S. They pay their own way. And it mentions that the coveted Nestorov Cup came back to the U.S. after it had spent several years behind the Iron Curtain. Anyway, nice ad, $12.77, sent this to a buyer in Georgia. Here's an ad from 1936. It appeared in Pictorial Review magazine. It's a partial page ad for Kool-Aid. It's got a fun little picture there at the top of the ad. Mother says, "Guess what Mother has for you?" And the little boy says, "Gee, I hope it's Kool-Aid." $8.77 sent this to a buyer in Pennsylvania. As a general rule, I love advertising for Davy Tree Surgery Company. When I was young, a little boy, I would hear tree surgery or tree surgeon, and the mental picture that created was just fascinating to me. This ad appeared in Sunset Magazine, 1938. The top half of the page shows these tree workers. It says they flit through the trees with the greatest of ease, and they're wearing their harnesses and uh, safety lines. It puts me in mind of Mr. McBeevy off of the Andy Griffith Show. But anyway, nice ad, full page, but Sunset Magazine was not 11 by 14 or larger like some of the early publications from the 30s. This page is about 8.5 by 11.5. $16.77 sent this ad to a buyer in Ohio. Friends, here's a fun ad. This is for Jeep Overland Corporation of Toledo, Ohio. It appeared in a 1948 Look magazine, but it's advertising the 1949 Jeep station wagon. I guess this would be a precursor of the Jeep Wagoneer. This illustration shows skiers headed to the slopes, and it touts the roominess of the Jeep. It says there's room for 6 passengers and their luggage. Jeep came out of World War II with an excellent reputation for dependability and durability. For that reason, Jeeps are still popular today. Jeep advertising is some of my best selling advertising. And I hope I don't offend anybody with this analogy, but I would say that the Jeep company is kind of like the cockroach of the automotive world. You know, they say cockroaches would survive a nuclear war, and I think the Jeep company would too, because over the years, there's been so many different iterations of the company. Willis Overland, Kaiser Willis, AMC Jeep. Um, there's probably more, but today it's the Chrysler Corporation that owns Jeep. But there's Jeep clubs and Jeep groups and Jeep events. You see it everywhere. Anyway, just popular as can be. And this nice ad from 1948 sold for $16.77 to a buyer in Wisconsin. From 1982 comes this great advertisement from the Casio Company. Casio made calculators and watches and small computers and that kind of thing. This was published in Penthouse Magazine. Again, 1982. It's a full page ad in color. One of my bad habits is tending to go off topic, but I'm going to anyway. For Christmas 1981, I got a Casio wristwatch, and it had a full keyboard, and a programmable memory. And I remember making some very limited study notes. It wasn't very capable, but I did it for fun. I could store it, or did store, the phone numbers of some of my friends and birth dates and things like that. It was the first thing of its kind on the market during the dawn of that personal computing age. The bottom of the page here describes what you see, including calculators, 41 function and 61 function calculators, and even a portable personal computer. It says that there's attachable peripherals that you can also buy. Fun ad, $12.77, sent this to a buyer in Malaysia through the eBay Global Shipping Program. Just like we talked about Jeep advertising being popular a little bit earlier, railroad advertising is also popular. Here's one for the Pullman Standard Company of Chicago, and this appeared in Time magazine, 1946. It's a full-page color ad. Taking a closer look at the illustration, it shows a conductor there punching Memo's ticket, and it says that the Pullman Standard Company has built roomy, air-conditioned passenger coaches for the New York Central Railroad. $16.77, sending this ad to a buyer in New York. Here's a 1927 advertisement for the Wild Root Company of Buffalo, New York. This appeared in McCall's magazine. It's a half-page ad. The bottom part of the ad there has a coupon that you can clip and mail in to receive a free trial bottle of this Wild Root product. It's kind of a fun ad. It says there that it's not a cure-all. It won't grow hair, but if you have a dandruff condition, it says, or in effect, what it says is we're your huckleberry. Dandruff treatment, that's what we do. $14.77, sent this back to Buffalo, New York, to its hometown, to a repeat buyer there. I'm glad you're still watching, and if you'll bear with me for another minute, we'll be talking about those returns that I mentioned when we got started. Right here is the last ad that I sold this week that actually stayed sold. It's from American Girl magazine, 1952, and it's for Girl Scout chocolates from a company called Blumenthal Brothers. Here in the ad, it's got a picture of a Girl Scout who's selling these chocolates to raise money for her troop. And this ad was purchased by a buyer named Blumenthal, and $16.77 is sending this to her in Massachusetts. Now let's talk about the ones that did not stay sold. I've been selling print ads for a little over a year now, about 13 months. And in all of that time, until this week, I only ever had one return. But I'm glad it's happened because it gives me an opportunity to talk to you about it. This ad here is for a doormat company, R.L. Mitchell Rubber Company, out of Los Angeles, and they make personalized doormats. And I feel like it's necessary to say before I get into the specifics of the return request that all 6,500 plus print ads in my store are in the category of advertising, and within that category there's a subcategory other advertising. When you look at the title of my listings, it says vintage print ad, and then the specifics under the type of advertising, it says magazine print advertisement. And when you read the item description, there's about 5 or 6 paragraphs that talk about how I source this advertising from magazines. I didn't say all of that to make you think I'm upset about it. I'm not. I'm not even aggravated. I understand people make mistakes. I just said that um, to kind of convey that I feel like that I did my part to, let the buyer know that they were purchasing a piece of paper. But here she says that the what happened was she thought she was buying a doormat, an actual doormat, and she was blaming eBay for putting that ad into her search results, and that's fine. The only thing, she said that the wrong item was sent, which is going to end up being a defect that all I'll need to do is send eBay a message and say, remove the defect, and they'll look at the situation. They'll remove it, not a big deal. But anyway, this does happen. Don't be surprised when it does. Now, I'm sure it's only coincidence that even though it just happened one other time in the past year, here I've got two occurrences of this issue during the same week. On screen, there is an advertisement for a company called Dunhill, and in the picture, there's a cigarette lighter and a pen and a little planner book. The difference between that last return request and this one, the buyer says honestly and upfront that they placed the order by mistake. That means that eBay will not charge me for a defect. I won't have to contact them and ask for a defect to be removed from my seller account. The buyer goes on to say in notes that they thought that they were buying a lighter. And again, I understand mistakes happen. It's going to happen. And when it does, no reason to get upset. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, this is going to cost, but I pay return shipping, so this is going to cost me about $13. All right, what I've got in weekly totals: 13 ads sold and stayed sold for $196 and a penny. The two ads being returned, I did not include those in the sale total, but you do need to deduct the $13 of return postage that it's going to cost me. And by the way, I factored into that the cost of the rigid mailer that I expended in getting that ad sent out. So that's in the $13 as well. Uh, Customer surname matched to advertiser name. On the Girl Scout ad, Blumenthal Brothers was the candy maker, and it sold to somebody named Blumenthal. So that's a check mark in that category. eBay Global Shipping Program, the Casio ad went to Malaysia. Now, the buyer city and advertiser city match applied to that Wild Root ad, which also went to Buffalo, uh, where the buyer was located. So that's a check mark in both of those categories. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in next week when we'll look at some more eBay sales and just maybe some tips and pointers too. Until next time. Hey, while you're here, I want to invite you to visit my eBay store, Blue Feather Ephemera. The link is down below in the description of this video. I always say that if a thing was made, sold, collected, celebrated, or built, you can bet it was also advertised. Classic vintage advertising makes great decor for your bar, restaurant, man cave, salon, garage, anywhere the right vibe is essential. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, please hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.